Hello, my name is Tim Lee Healy, and in this video, we're going to be discussing the June 18th release of Quincy. The video is going to follow our normal format. We'll do some overview, talk about the features, key features in the release, and then we'll do a quick demo. On an overview side, you can see the counts in front of you. We had 8 changes, 28 new features, and 63 fixes. On the feature side, the ones of note are listed in front of you. We've done our best to divide them into their relevant disciplines, but of course, many of them are cross-discipline relevant. Nonetheless, let's talk about the forensics ones. We have some improved features on the map. We did some dramatic improvements on our database parsing. We added an index health monitor, more parsers, or at least to be fair, we included more parsers in the shipped product. And then we made a number of UI improvements. On the legal side, we did TIFF exports. This was always a summation capability, so nothing particularly new here, but it is now in Quincy. We added mass printing, redaction reasons, grid filters. I will show you. Of course, grid filters has been the product for a long time, but the way it was implemented, it was, I think, relatively poor. We've, I think, meaningfully improved it, and it's worthy of showing anyway. And in-grid coding, which is something that's been in summation, it wasn't in Quincy, is now available, and we can do a lot to expand it if users find this feature compelling. On the enterprise side, again, I'm not going to go through these. This video is focused on Quincy and those features more focused on forensics and legal. QView, in terms of native QView development, we fixed up the grid. Grid filters used to work just on the data documents that were pulled into view. Now they work across the whole case. We added map case capabilities, and we did our second phase of imager capabilities. This is really cool stuff, frankly. We won't have a demo of QView in this video. Again, it's got its own video, so go see those if you're interested. But what was really cool and what is incredibly worthy of mention here is the fact that the development team figured out how to run a small Chromium browser inside of QView. As a result, we were able to move, basically, we're able to move any widgets we want from within Quincy into QView. And so we started with the 5 we've listed here. I'm on the fence as to whether or not we should add the processing data widget. We could easily do that, but something makes me feel like it really doesn't logically fit still a client-server side technology. And for the processing to work, you have to have the data on the server. So that's why the data transfer widget is there, but I'm not sure it makes sense to include, like I said, the processing widget. Anyway, this represented a huge leap forward in terms of QView capabilities. So largely, to be honest, it's pretty close to being comparable in functionality now with Quincy, only with the much better desktop viewer. So, in all fairness, I prefer it. Anyway, those are the features in the June release. Let me demo some of them. We won't do all of them, but the ones we think are at least a little bit interesting, more interesting to show anyway, we'll take a walk through right now. Let's hop into the product and do that. So let's start with the map feature. I will open up maps, and you can see 2 things have been added. This lat long capability, meaning you can manually enter a latitude and a longitude. So I could do, say, 50, which I believe is somewhere in Russia, I think. Nope. Anyway, right there, and it will go to that, and you can enter another one, and it will move you all around. You can also save locations of note, and you can save them specifically to a case, or you can save them publicly. And you give them a name and a description, a latitude, longitude, and then when you want to, you can come here and select the case and select the locations associated with that case, and they will all be plotted on the map. So that's the feature there. I think pretty cool little additions, if you will, to the mapping capability. Let me show you the index health monitoring. We're going to go into the admin widget for this. We're going to go into system administration. You can see the font has changed also, as well as a number of other sort of small UI improvements. Anyway, index status is what I wanted to show you guys. We have this tab that's got index status, and you can go pull up a case. Demo 6 will pull up, and you can go ahead and run that, and it will query the indexes of that case, and it will display for you the information we have on them. Depending on the case, this can actually take quite a long time. And the number of cases. So you have to be prepared for that. But you can see in this case, there are 4 indexes, the number of objects each has in it, the size, the path, the doc count, whether there are any errors, fragmentation in structure, or structured version anyway. If you like this report, you can save it. Type here and save it. And if you run any report, it will save whatever the last report is. So that way, if you run a giant report of everything, you don't have to worry about rerunning it because it can take hours. Anyway, that's index health. Let's hop on to some of the e-discovery features. To do that, I'm going to need to load a case. Predictive coding. And go into the grid. I'm going to show you in-grid coding as well as some of the new export capability. Now, if I double-clicked on any one of these, it would pull up the in-grid coder. However, we don't have any codable fields up here, so it won't really do anything of note. We need codable fields in the UI. So let me toggle off that and toggle back on to my general, because that will bring in my labels. Actually, let me do this. I'm going to create a custom one because I want to show you labels, issues, and custom columns. So let's remove all these. We'll do some just small ones there. And then we want label, ID. We want issue. And then we want some tags here, custom columns. And I have only one. Let's apply that change. So now we have all the fields that are codable, in this case, in the grid. And as a result of that, if we double click on anything, it will pull up the in-grid coder. It will ask us whether we're coding against the current item, all checked, or all records. And it will present to us the various different coding options we have, as well as any currently applied values. So anyway, currently applied values for the record we're currently looking at. So that's in-grid coding. Let's go ahead and cancel and move on. It does do this one weird thing where you won't get the green back. The green means it's bookmarked. You won't get the green back unless you refresh the grid, because that's a dynamically applied thing. So, but that's just one tiny nit. Let's talk about export, because we did some cool work there, or at least added the ability to export as TIFF. So let's go ahead and choose our case again that we want to export out of. Give it a second. All right, now, if we choose native, or anything, frankly, where we have the image option, and we select to export images, it will now ask us what image format we want. It offers us PDF, single-page TIFF, or multi-page TIFF. To be clear and to be fair, it will always export the PDF, whether you select it or not. The question is whether you will also have an additional folder where it exports the single-page TIFFs and multi-page TIFFs. So that ends up giving you more flexibility in terms of export, hopefully without making it meaningfully more complicated. Let's talk about redaction reasons. Okay, so to configure redaction reasons, we come into admin again, we go into configuration, and we go into viewer. And you see these two new lines, as well as actually a few were removed. The ones removed are just no longer really relevant to the way the viewer works. But we have redaction reasons and we have stamps. Excuse my language there. Let me remove those and we'll say stamp 1 and stamp 2. And so we're going to have the redaction reasons of Bob time Frank, and we can have the stamps of stamp 1, stamp 2, and we're happy with those. So we just go ahead and click save. Remember, they must be comma separated, semicolon separated, space separated. None of those things will work. It's going to break it up based on comma separation. So once those are saved, and we're happy with them, we can come into the grid. First, let me go to files so I have good documents to look at. I'm going to open up the viewer. We'll do a roadmap document. Okay, we want to go to PDF. All right, so now we have redactions. If we click on redact area, you can see it will offer us the reasons, and we can see Bob time Frank, and we'll choose Bob. And then if we go ahead and draw that, you can see Bob is the redaction reason given. The same thing works with stamps. Stamp, we've got stamp 1, stamp 2. We choose stamp 2, whatever, and we go ahead and click that, stamp 2. So that's that functionality. And I think that was all the key things I wanted to show you. Let me quickly toggle back to my list. I apologize for doing this, but I want to make sure I got everything. All the key things I wanted to show you, I showed you. Let me show you the additional parsers just to round things out, and then we'll be done. So if you have purchased access to the parsers, you will get these additional parsers that come embedded in the product here in the custom parsers area. So you can see now we have AFF4, Xways, BKF, Apple, VMware, Chats, NTF Journal, and NTFS log file. So these will all be just provided with the widget. You could, of course, if you wanted to go to the website and download them if you don't have them, as long as you have access to this widget, you should be all set. Anyway, those are the key features in the June release. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to post them, and thank you for your time.